Hi, and welcome to Simple Logistics. So, today we are going to talk about the Amazon, at the Amazon company, and how they were able to avoid the worst problems in their supply chain now in 2021. So, how did they fix the main issues with the supply chain? And is feasible for other companies to do the same. First, let's explain how Amazon works and how most of their international trade works. Amazon sells a lot of stuff directly to customers, and most of that stuff today is produced in Asia, not in the US, but is sold in the North American market, especially US. Amazon today is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, company in the world, is the biggest retailer by far. That is for sure. Amazon's founder, Jeff Bezos, is one of the richest guys in the world, and he became even richer during the pandemic. During the pandemic, Americans started to rely even more on purchasing through Amazon website because they didn't want to go to stores, get in line to buy something and have the risk to contract the coronavirus disease. Amazon is one of the few companies these days that benefited from the pandemic and that was able to grow steadily over the last 4 years. So the last 4 years, not the, the last 2 years of the pandemic, but they were growing even before the pandemic. So Amazon has been growing steadily since it was founded more than 20 years ago. Amazon is a really neat, very well organized company. They changed the game when they started working as a retailer in the US by having multiple warehouses near the customers, having fast deliveries, having lots of products on stock that they buy with size because of the volume that they purchase. So they're well known for their expert use of logistics to have good prices and to have fast delivery, good relationship with customers. But as I mentioned, most of their stuff comes from China, comes from Asia, and China especially. So there is a high volume of trade beginning in China, growing and going to the Amazon warehouses in the US. When the supply chain problems started, most business in the US were affected. Amazon was affected also, but they started working with B Plan to fix their supply chain issues. So they were already planning on doing this. And during the pandemic, they put that plan into motion. They leased a few ships, cargo ships. They built their own containers. So they built around 10,000 containers, and they have ways to track those containers. When everybody else was having problem with empty containers, Amazon had their own containers. Amazon had their own ships, and they could divert those in case another ship got stuck at the Suez Channel, for example, because all other shipping lines they prefer to take the route that uses less fuel. A lot of the shipping lines didn't divert from the Suez Channel when we had a crisis there. Amazon was able to do that. When you own or you lease your own ships, you can do that. And they are doing that also with cargo aircraft. So they leased few cargo aircraft. There is lots of those available for leasing and for purchase in the desert in the US. You have several aircraft cemeteries or long-term storage facilities for aircraft. And you have their commercial aircraft, cargo aircraft, military cargo aircraft. So you can choose any of those, and you can use, for example, a Boeing 747 is still a great aircraft, can be converted to be a freighter. It's not the most economical aircraft, but it has long range. It's still very modern. Pilots love to fly it. So you have great aircraft available today if you have the money to lease it. Amazon did have the money, and they couldn't wait for their goods to arrive with all the supply chain problems that were arising. The carriers didn't want to take these risks. So Amazon went there and they got their hands in the transport vessels, and they were able to do that themselves. Then they had to avoid the traffic jam in the US. So the port of Los Angeles, for example, has about 70 vessels still waiting to be unloaded. Cargo ship stays there waiting to unload in average 45 days today. And then you have a lot of problem to move the containers by truck from the port of Los Angeles to where you need those containers. Amazon started in the Washington state area. They were founded there. I think they still have large facilities there. So they chose to unload their own cargo ships there in the Washington State port. It's easier for them to move the cargo from there to their facilities, to their warehouses. And there is no traffic jam there. There is no waiting line for your turn to get the vessel to a berth in the port to be able to unload. There is not a lot of movement of cargo vessels to Washington State. So it's really a backwater state there. So there are not problems with, a lot of cargo being unloaded. Probably you have a lot of truck drivers that went there to deliver something, and they usually return empty-handed or without any cargo to their original states. So you can use those trucks returning to take your container from the Washington states to other more populous states in the US. So everything with their plan was on point, to solve the supply chain issues. And now other retailers like Target, Walmart are looking to Amazon's strategy, and they are trying to copy Amazon's strategy to fix their own supply chain issues, because as everybody's seeing, these supply chain issues will take longer to correct. And shipping lines, even aviation companies, even the airlines, they are fine with charging higher rates than they were before the pandemic. For them, the new normal is not a problem. So they don't have the incentive to fix the supply chain issues and to go back to the prices that they were charging before 2019. It is good that these companies are doing that, and I would advise any company that is big enough to do that, but you have to be really big to do that, to try to take their own measures and to even lease their own aircraft, their own ships to make the transport for themselves, at least during this period of turmoil in the supply chain. It's the best approach, it's the best alternative. It increases capacity in the shipping, in the cargo shipping market, and it lowers freight prices. It diverts cargo from the main ports to alternative ports, from the main airports to alternative airports. It creates new channels for logistics to happen where you don't have so much overload. Most of the important ports in North America are operating much above their capacity. It's important to use alternative ports, alternative means to enter the US today. And I would say the same is valid also for Canada, for Europe, for all the major markets. Okay, this was all that I had for today. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.